Greetings, my fellow freeloaders, sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Wednesday, September 6, 2017. Yeah, let's go. A lot of the boats from the yacht, might be here in Mar and all that, are coming in to the other side of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. And people still focusing on what's going on, where Irma is going to go, the center of the storm to be exact. And it's still almost the same, but they're showing, I was watching some of the videos on what's going on over there with Irma. Let me just check something out here. I should have done this originally. But found with any latest coordinates. Oops. See what's happening with that. I know there's 3 hurricanes out there right now. Katia, Irma, and Jose. Right now everyone's focused on Irma for National Hurricane Center. 10 p.m. Location, latitude 19.3 degrees north. Longitude 66.6 degrees west. 666. Winds moving west-northwest 60 miles per hour. Minimum pressure 960 millibars. Max sustained winds 185 miles an hour. So that's been happening with that end. And of course, they didn't do anything. They did the thing about Katia, which is 21.7 degrees north and 94.9 west, moving southeast at 3 miles an hour. Pressure 992 millibars. Max sustained winds 75 miles an hour. It may just hit the Cancun area. And we saw Jose from 5 p.m. Latest reading 13.9 north, 45.8 west, west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. Minimum pressure 994 millibars. Max sustained winds at 75. So you have 3 hurricanes lurking around that area. But looks like mainly everyone is focusing on Irma. She's like going through the islands. It looks like Puerto Rico will be spared, which was fortunate, but looks like British Virgin Islands, I believe, got hit in the center. So my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone out there who are going through the storm. I know a good amount of folks posted sharing it on their videos on what happened, and at least they're alive. That's a good thing. So still gotta be vigilant, my friends, because it looks like this hurricane may be going through along the Florida Atlantic coastline, but it can change. It may hit like Georgia, South Carolina area. So Savannah and possibly Charleston needs to pay close attention, even around the Mid-Atlantic area. And it's pretty still well organized and all that. Let's check out the public information here, if they got it. No. Yeah, so it will be interesting. So this public advisory. Let's see what they got here. Oh yeah. Let's see public advisory. Yeah, it says it right there on everything, what's going on. Gives you pretty much accuracy. I'm going to add this to the footnotes. So it looks like the eye of the storm. Let me see here. I'm just browsing through. They do have some storm surges in those areas. Leeward Islands and all that. Rainfall is expected to produce the following rain accumulation: 1 to 3 inches of rain. Storm total 8 to 12 inches. Isolated 20 inches. So it depends where it's gonna go. So there's like a lot of areas you have to really look at. And next one will be 11 p.m. Eastern Time, Atlantic Standard Time. So just wondering about the eye of the storm. How is that holding up? Still is extremely dangerous and could be considered catastrophic. Maybe coming down to 4 if it comes through to hit near the states. So like I said, my friends, yeah, hurricane force winds extend outward to 50 miles from the center, and tropical force winds extended outward to 185 miles. Sustained winds at 75 miles per hour with the gust to 70. It was recently reported at the NOS observing site in San Juan Bay, Puerto Rico. Estimated central pressure is 914 millibars or 26.99 inches. So almost everything is still the same, okay, on what is happening with this hurricane. So 50 miles outward from the center. That's what the full force winds. So if the eye doesn't hit or doesn't go near the coastline of South Florida, it will be a blessing, but we cannot let our guard down. So hopefully all you folks out there are hunkered down, getting ready, do your last minute chores, because I know a lot of places are going to be closing down. And I may be heading out west for a while. I'll be doing my show and make sure my camper is ready to go too. And just make the best of it, okay? All right. So one of the things I'm gonna be talking about came from News Buds. It's an exclusive, so I recommend you go to check it out. And it's a member only, of course. As this here is Agent Terrors the Government Payroll Part 2, Ali Mohamed. Before I proceed narrating this, they are having a 9/11 summit, and it's supposed to be expiring, and the registration is supposed to be done tomorrow. But based on my situation, I may have to definitely cancel it, which is a shame, but hopefully they will put it up there for the members to review. That would be really cool, because I would love to chat with these people one-on-one, but hopefully in the very near future. So let's just check this out here from newsbuzz.com. It's exclusive Agents of Terror on Government Payroll Part 2, Ali Mohamed. It says here, notorious terrorist, a major in Egypt's army intelligence, a CIA operative, a member of the elite Green Berets, and an FBI informant. How sweet. It'll be pretty long, so 17-21 minutes. It says here, let's say a scriptwriter approaches a Hollywood production company with a proposal for a realistic spy action thriller that features a dark action hero who is a major in the Egyptian Army's military intelligence unit, who is selected by the elite special forces unit in the United States Army, simultaneously gets recruited by the CIA as an operative, teaches courses at the John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center and School, and is on the FBI payroll. Then he triple crosses the elite U.S. military forces the CIA and the FBI uses in his U.S. military information to train Al-Qaeda and other radical Muslim militants. Becomes Bin Laden's bodyguard. All this while he's still on the payroll of the U.S. military, the CIA, and the FBI. Blows up U.S. embassies around the world while still on the triple payroll. Is the most dangerous man in the world according to the U.S. Justice Department. Then he gets caught, is tried, and indicted in a secret U.S. court behind closed doors, yet manages to evade sentencing, skips jail, and continues his terror operations around the globe. What do you think the production company's response would be? An unrealistic, far-fetched delirium, probably imagined and written whilst under some sort of psychedelic drug. What if I were to tell you that everything in the script above and some more is a well-documented, government-confirmed, real-life case? Meet Ali Abdul Salad Mohammed, one of the highest-ranking Al-Qaeda terrorists, a man known to and marketed by the U.S. government and mainstream media as a notorious triple terror triple agent terrorist, a man described by the U.S. Justice Department prosecutor Patrick Fitzgerald as the most dangerous man in the world I've ever met. Are you dizzy yet? Let's break down Ali Mohammed's background in a more orderly fashion. Mohammed was a major in the Egyptian Army's military intelligence unit. He enlisted in the U.S. Army and was selected by the U.S. Army Special Forces, who sent him to Special Warfare School and encouraged him to pursue a doctorate in Islamic Studies and teach courses on the Middle East. He was highly educated and spoke fluent English, French, and Hebrew in addition to his native Arabic. In 1984, the CIA recruited him to be a junior intelligence officer. The FBI publicly used him as an informant for years. One moment. While in the United States, working for at least 3 government agencies, including the U.S. Army, he helped train a number of jihadists, including El Sayed Nosar and Mahmoud Abu Lema, who assisted Ramzi Youssef in the 1993 attack on the World Trade Center. During the 1990s, while in these 3 U.S. government entities, he was involved in the training of anti-Soviet forces, which included members of the Mujahideen, Osama bin Laden, Ayman al-Zawahiri, and terrorist members responsible for the bombings of 2 U.S. embassies. In 1992, he made at least 58 trips to Afghanistan to participate in the training of terrorist cells while under the surveillance of the CIA and the FBI. In 1998, he was charged with the bombing of the U.S. embassies in Nairobi, Kenya, and in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. In 2000, he pleaded guilty to 5 counts of conspiracy to kill nationals of the United States and to destroy U.S. property. Although indicted secretly behind closed court doors, Ali Mohammed was never sentenced. Just in case of Al-Awlaki, all court sessions and documents, all reports, and all investigations pertaining to Ali Mohammed are highly classified and not available to even those with TS clearance. Unlike Al-Awlaki, who was fired and turned into ashes by a U.S. drone, Mohammed was allegedly jailed in a high-security prison and has not been interviewed or seen by outsiders. Because he's nowhere near any U.S. jail, he's been continuing his work and travel for CIA NATO Operation Gladio B. Okay, now let's begin laying out the facts with links and documents and witnesses. You can, if you're a member of NewsBuds, which I recommend you do, you can actually see these links. And as it says here, early years. Ali Mohammed was born in Qasif al-Sheikh, Lower Egypt in 1952. His father was a career soldier in the Egyptian Army. Following in his father's footsteps, Mohammed attended the Cairo Military Academy after his graduation from high school in 1970, and then went to attend university near his hometown, obtaining 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree in psychology from the University of Alexandria, in addition to his native Arabic. In the course of post-secondary education, he learned and became fluent in English, Hebrew, and French. He joined the Egyptian Army around 1971, eventually rising the rank of major. He worked as an intelligence officer in the Egyptian Special Forces, with duties including recruitment and training of intelligence assets. He was also frequently assigned to protect Egyptian diplomats abroad. He volunteered for a number of clandestine special operations, including a raid on a Libyan prison in 1981, while Islamist members of his Egyptian army unit carried out the assassination of President Anwar Sadat in Cairo. Mohammed took part in a foreign officer training exercise at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. At the end of the 4-month course, he was given a diploma bearing a green beret. Wow. If I was owned by them, I could do whatever I want and still get a pat in the back. Pretty speedy rise so far, but wait, it will get better. The Egyptian army deemed Mohammed too religious and potentially radical and eventually discharged him in March 1984. For the next 18 months, under the orders of Zawahiri, Mohammed worked for the Egyptian National Airline as a counterterrorism security advisor, a position that enabled him to acquire sensitive information about air piracy countermeasures. Mohammed's sixth assignment from Zawahiri was to infiltrate a security agency of the U.S. government. In early 1984, following the kidnapping of its Beirut station chief, the CIA began to significantly increase its efforts to recruit Middle Eastern assets. Thus, when Mohammed, who was already been contacted by the CIA while at Fort Bragg in 1981, approached the Cairo office of the CIA offering his services, the Cairo station chief sent out an agency-wide cable to see if there were any operations into which Mohammed could be inserted. The Bonn station responded, and Mohammed was sent to Hamburg, Germany. Wow, that is so intriguing. Mohammed was subsequently placed on a State Department watch list intended to bar him from entering the United States. When it learned that Mohammed was seeking a visa in 1985, the CIA says that it warned other federal agencies at the time as well not to allow him entry. Mohammed was allowed entry, however, and moved to the U.S. in September of 1985. According to a 1995 Boston Globe report, his entry into the country was made possible by the Clandestine CIA sponsorship. That's right. Despite being on the so-called watch list, Mohammed sailed into, more like flew into, the United States thanks to the cover and protection provided by him by the United States Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. Hallelujah. Exactly. So, join the elite, the U.S. Army forces beyond. In 1995, after Mohammed's name publicly surfaced at the trial of the Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman, the Boston Globe reported that Mohammed had been admitted to the U.S. under a special visa program controlled by the CIA's Clandestine Service. This rule contradicted the CIA's later claim of disassociating themselves from Mohammed and attempt to stop him from entering the U.S. As soon as he arrived, he married an American woman and became a U.S. citizen. Yep, married their way to get to the top. And lo and behold, in 1986, he joined the U.S. Army as an enlisted man. He was posted to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the elite special forces, where he worked as a supply sergeant for the Green Beret unit, then as an instructor in Middle Eastern affairs in the John F. Kennedy Special Welfare School. Here is what Mohammed's commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel Robert Ennis, had to say after his supposed infiltration of elite U.S. military forces. I think you or I would have a better chance of winning Powerball than an Egyptian major in the unit that assassinated Sadat would have getting a visa, getting to California, getting to the Army, and getting assigned to a Special Forces unit. That just doesn't happen. Of course, he is a glam boy under the eyes of the CIA, in my view. Anderson repeatedly wrote detailed reports urging Army intelligence to investigate Mohammed and have him court-martialed and deported. But the reports were ignored, or were they? Really? It was equally unthinkable that an ordinary citizen GI would go unpunished after fighting in a foreign war. Anderson astutely concluded that all this convinced him that Mohammed was sponsored by the U.S. Intelligence Service. I assume the CIA, he said. According to court reports and intelligence sources, for almost as long as Ali Mohammed was a notorious terrorist, he was also in contact with and employed by U.S. intelligence. In 1990, FBI agents raided the home of Ali Sadi Nazar, the Egyptian-born Islamic militant, right after his arrest in the shooting of Rabbi Meir Kahan. Among the many items found in Nazar's possession were sensitive military documents from Fort Bragg, North Carolina. The documents, some which were classified secret, contained the locations of U.S. military special operations forces, exercises, and units in the Middle East, military training schedules, U.S. intelligence estimates of Soviet forces in Afghanistan, a geographical map of Fort Bragg, U.S. Central Command data, and intelligence estimates of Soviet force projection in Afghanistan. Appended throughout the documents were Arabic markings and notations believed that to be of Ali Mohammed. Some documents were marked top secret for training, otherwise unclassified. Other documents were marked sensitive. An FBI prepared inventory contained the entire listing of materials seized from the Tsar's residence. Beyond the U.S. military documents, the raid on the Tsar's residence produced a veritable treasure trove of terrorist documents, publications, and materials. Included were actual plans for destroying skyscrapers in New York. Oh, really? According to Stephen Emerson, a terrorism expert and author who has written about the case, Mohammed, by the early 1990s, had also established himself as an FBI informant. He agreed to serve the FBI to provide information about the fact he was working for the bad guys and insulating himself from scrutiny from other law enforcement agencies. Man, and interesting, I would say, huh, friends? Simultaneously, a CIA, FBI, Pentagon, Al Qaeda man. I'd be a great coach. Have a kick go, Al Qaeda man, I support the New World Order. In 1991, Mohammed was the person in charge of the Osama bin Laden's move from Afghanistan to the Sudan. From his base in Santa Clara, Mohammed soon emerged as a top aide to Osama bin Laden. The officials say that Mohammed traveled regularly and to from Pakistan and Afghanistan, having helped overseas bin Laden's terrorist base in Khost and other terrorist camps in Afghanistan. Oh yeah. Something else, my friend. Something we gotta think about, right? Mohammed helped bin Laden to set up his home and terrorist base in Khartoum, Sudan, where 2,000 Arab Afghans, the names given to the Arab veterans of the Afghan Jihad, were headquartered in bin Laden's terrorist camp. Mohammed continued travel between the terrorist camps in Afghanistan and bin Laden's base in the Sudan and the United States. Don't worry, you hear some boats banging on the dock. That's alright. Even the discredited 9/11 Commission's final report concluded that the WTC bombing has been crafted in Afghanistan during the summer of 1992 when Yazmi Youssef and Ali Mohammed were both in the region. Youssef's support network when he arrived in the United States consisted almost entirely of figures which links to Ali Mohammed, but when the Brooklyn cell was finally indicted in 1993, Ali A. Mohammed was not one of the defendants. He wasn't a witness. So, tangle of intrigues, negotiations, and apparent investigative oversight, Mohammed escaped prosecution until after 1998 bombings of the two U.S. embassies in East Africa. Mohammed escaped prosecution until the 1998 bombings of the two U.S. embassies in East Africa, but Mohammed did escape sentencing. He's never been sentenced. He's not in prison. Prosecutor Patrick Fitzgerald knew Mohammed intimately. In 1994, he had named him as an unindicted co-conspirator in the New York landmark case, yet allowed him to remain free. This was because, as Fitzgerald knew, Ali Mohammed was an FBI informant for at least 1993 and maybe 1989. That's from 1994 until his arrest in 1998, by which time the 9/11 plot was well underway. Mohammed shuffled between California, Afghanistan, Kenya, Somalia, and at least a dozen other countries. In 1993, Ali Mohammed had been detained by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in Canada when he inquired at the airport after an incoming Al-Qaeda terrorist who turned out to be carrying 2 forged Saudi passports. Mohammed immediately told the RCMP to make a phone call to the United States, and the call secured his release. We've since been told that it was Mohammed's West Coast FBI handler, John Zent, vouched for Ali and got him released. This release enabled Ali to go on to Kenya, take pictures of the U.S. Embassy, and deliver them to bin Laden for the embassy bombing plot. Fitzgerald and his FBI counterpart on the bin Laden task force, John Kuhlman, learned shortly after 9/11 that Mohammed knew every twist and turn of the 9/11 plot. Within days of 9/11, Kuhlman rushed back from Yemen and interviewed Ali, whom the feds had allowed to slip into witness protection, and demanded to know the details of the plot. At the point Ali wrote it all out, including details of how he'd counseled would-be hijackers on how to smuggle box cutters on a board aircraft and where to sit to effect the airline seizures. Interestingly, the same Patrick Fitzgerald had described Ali Mohammed as the most dangerous man I ever met. Despite all of this, for 4 years, Mohammed moved freely and in and out of the United States as an unindicted conspirator. Further, he was allowed to plea bargain and was never sentenced for any of his well-established and documented criminal terrorist activities. Peter Lance has charged that Fitzgerald had evidence before 1998 to implicate Mohammed in the Kenya embassy bombing, yet did nothing and let the bombing happen. In fact, the FBI was aware back in 1990 that Mohammed had engaged in terrorist training on Long Island, yet it acted to protect Mohammed from arrest even after one of his trainees had moved beyond training to an actual assassination. Since 2002, no one knows what happened to Mohammed and or where he is. The general belief that he is in the U.S. has not been sentenced in payment for providing information about Al-Qaeda and their senior hierarchy. Mohammed's relationship with the CIA and FBI is wrapped in secrecy. His plea bargain is sealed, as are many of the court documents, much of the testimony. Mohammed was expected to testify but did not. At the trial where 4 others were convicted, Mohammed and his lawyers have declined all interviews requests. His arrest in 1998, Mohammed had been hidden away in a federal witness protection program, with most of his court records sealed. As Benjamin Weiser of the New York Times put it, Ali Mohammed had been buried under a cloak of secrecy rarely seen in public courts. In an interview with National Geographic Channel, Ali Mohammed's defense attorney makes a very chilling prophecy. I think the most likely thing will happen, says attorney David Bruner, is he'll be released and he'll be given a new name, a new identity, and he'll pick up a life someplace. Mohammed has made some kind of deal with the government that will surely have him out of prison and some date certain that he's know about, says attorney David Bruner. To recap the terms of Mohammed's deal with the government, including not being sentenced, have never been made public, all classified, all secret. For almost 2 decades, Ali Abu Assad Mohammed served Osama bin Laden and his number 1 lieutenant, Ayman al-Zawahiri, as their highest al-Qaeda operative in the United States. During this period, Mohammed traveled to Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sudan, and many other hotspot countries, and provided al-Qaeda with top-level intelligence, planned terrorist events, arrested in fundraising, and trained al-Qaeda terrorists, including bin Laden himself. The most amazing thing about Ali Mohammed is not his linguistic educational IQ pedigree, but his story and his high-level backers within the FBI, CIA, and the U.S. military. He carried out his deadly role as a globe-trotting spy master and terrorist while working with and inside the very U.S. government organizations that are supposedly at war with terrorists like him: the CIA, the U.S. Army, Special Forces, and the FBI. And the fact that he was able and allowed to carry out all this terror operations for nearly 2 decades, in spite of numerous tip-offs from foreign governments and warnings from personnel within these agencies, the most troubling and important question being, how it is that this notorious terror operative and facilitator happened to be in the payroll of 3 U.S. government agencies before, during, and after the September 11th attacks. Whether the Pentagon Special Forces, the CIA, or the FBI, wouldn't and shouldn't he be considered the U.S. government's man? And if that's the case, whose attacks did we suffer on September 11th, 2001? Wow. Well, you're always going to have those individuals roaming around acting like bellicose diplomats. get all the sound immunity they want, because they're already branded themselves. That is one interesting story, I have to admit. This really boggles the mind, my friends. One of those things, you go, what the hell is these folks thinking? So, you gotta make that decision yourselves. I am not fond of this. I call this tyranny at its worst. Just another example why corruption, deception, deceivership from government is a bold-faced reality. And that is all I'm going to be talking about. I thank everyone for listening, plus feel free to download and share this throughout your social media networks. Have any questions, comments, or you're sending something interesting and may want to check out? Whatever you do, please address your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Breaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureClub.net. And Patreon.com/LokiLux3. Hopefully I got all those correct. And it said iHeartRadio as well. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or your encrypted finance LokiLucknumbers03@protonmail.com. Alright, my friends, that's all for now. Anyone along the line of coastline, please be safe and work together after it gets through. And hopefully it won't be that catastrophic where you live and the people you love. Alright? Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is helpful to the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. May your guardian spirits be with you.